Hello everyone, this is Marcel and it's a pleasure to welcome you to my channel. So, for today I want to give something of a friendly warning to those who are paying attention, to those who will hear it. Now I offer this warning in the same sense that I would tell someone, hey, take off that blindfold, you're walking on the edge of a cliff. You may want to see where you're going. Now to most, of course, that would seem absurdly obvious, and to me, on the topic, it's pretty obvious as well. And yet, I feel the need to at least put one more video into discussing it. You see, not that long ago, I made a video on should MGTOW date. And I made several comments through the video, made it obviously clear that I didn't care what people did with their lives. And, to be MGTOW is to choose to go whatever path you want. And if that leads a person to dating, then fine, go date. I never once tried to dictate what men should do, and yet I still got a notable number of comments and emails saying, hey, you can't tell us what we're supposed to do. We can do whatever we want. Let them date if they choose. Meanwhile, I am still hearing several videos being published by other creators that claim to be red pill, saying for guys to go out and date, encouraging the idea. Now, while I reiterate, I would never tell a man he cannot date or should not date, regardless of whether or not he is MGTOW. I assert that there is no situation in this current year with the way society is going where it is good advice to tell a man to go out and date. It is always bad advice. Now, maybe this was always amongst the MGTOW community, and I just never noticed it before, didn't hear it before, this whole dating recommendations. But I find it very strange that all of a sudden it keeps popping up. And then I make a video just implying that MGTOW should not date. And the numbers of men that rushed to the defense of the idea truly surprised me. One of my commenters pointed out that there are a lot of guys that claim to be MGTOW, or red-pilled if you will, that are literally a blowjob away from being blue pill. It's just going to take a nudge. And that's all, then they're gone. Boom. Off into oblivion. And I'm back here thinking that my advice that I'm putting out is pretty straightforward. Like, hey buddy, maybe you shouldn't go planning to drink all night with one set of keys and no designated driver. Like, at least have someone you can call. But no, there they go. Bye. Good luck. Hope you don't get pulled over or crash somewhere. Looking back on it, hearing people that are defending the idea of dating or even encouraging it within our community almost reminds me of one of my relatives who is in the later stages of diabetes. See, they live knowing that sugar can kill them, that the pain and destruction they're experiencing in their life was caused by poor dieting habits and by the very sugar that they crave. They understand the situation that they're living in, and yet when challenged as to why that candy bar fell out of their bag, they will sit and rationalize and explain as to why it's okay, and these reasons, those reasons, that they might need it if their sugar were to drop suddenly, that it's their life and their body and they can do whatever they want. And, I really had flashbacks to those conversations when I listened to my MGTOW brothers telling me as to why it was okay to date, or it was even a good idea to date. Forget even that they should or shouldn't, just the idea that it's recommended from one MGTOW to another. Not to pick on alcohol here, so for those who like to drink, forgive me. I feel like I'm in an Alcoholic Anonymous meeting, hearing advice, being like, hey buddy, have a sip of this. Go out and try the Bacardi. That's gonna be your flavor. Yeah, that's gonna help you out good. Like, what? Am I going crazy here? Do my reptilian ears deceive me, or did I hear that straight? You see, when I started this channel, and I still hold these values today, I want to be as balanced as I possibly can. I want to argue both sides of an argument, and I want to give value to both sides of a discussion. I don't want to have an echo chamber, and I want to see every plausible outcome and opportunity in every situation. And I want to give solid advice that could, almost, if not, be used for women equally as it would for men. I would love that. I want to give advice that'll fit in any situation. Ultimately, I want to see things get better for everyone. That would be awesome. And I don't perceive any situation where telling a guy to stick his head in the lion's mouth is going to somehow help him understand that he can get bit. I mean, you don't have to try poison to know that it kills. Almost every lesson that comes out of these multitudes of different MGTOW creators and channels and things, they all have lessons that can be learned vicariously. By that I mean you don't have to experience it first person to get the message. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can watch somebody pull their hand away from a skillet all blistered and burned and charred and think, wow, I'm glad I wasn't the one that stuck my hand on that. But I'm not going to tell the next guy, hey, go stick your hand on that skillet. It's the only way you're going to know what a burn is. That way you'll know not to stick it on for the next time. It's a wholesome experience you'll cherish for life. Doesn't that sound odd? Isn't that a weird advice to give? Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to tell me, well, wait, now, Marcel, you can't stop people from touching the skillet because that's how they learn and that's how they grow. But if the guy's dad told him to put his hand on the skillet, is it still good to learn that way? Was that still right? I mean, if he advises not to, and the other person chooses not to listen on their own, well, then that's on them. Ultimately, there's not much we can do for each other than to discuss mistakes that we have made and try to learn from each other, right? That's what we're here for. I'm here to learn, to grow, and ultimately become a better, more effective person than I ever was before. Some of us are here to heal, some to vent, some to complain, and, we all have our reasons. Though the day comes that we stop progressing when we start to do mental gymnastics and twist our message back in on itself and start back at the starting line, like we never actually meet the finish line because we've ran in a circle. That's what dating advice, meaning to date, is coming from MGTOW. It's running in circles. What is it? Repeating the same experiment over and over again, expecting different results is the definition of insanity? Isn't that the old expression? Anyway, I would like to sort of end this discussion on a story that I remember hearing when I was very young. I think it was in church, actually. Though I don't remember specifically. When I was young, I did used to go to church. I could almost say I had to go to church, but I'm not going to hold that against my parents. There are far worse things that a child could be forced into doing. Moving on. So a person was walking along a river when they came across a rattlesnake. And as they passed, the snake pleaded to them. It said, "Please, help me across this river. It's the only way that I will survive. I'm starving, I'm dying, I'm very sick. And I must get over there where I will survive." And the person very wisely said, "No, I can't do that. You're clearly a rattlesnake and would bite me, and then I would die." The venomous serpent replied, "No, I promise, I will not. You will have just saved my life. I swear to you, I only want to get across to the other side, and then I'll be fine, and I'll just leave." Swayed by the helpless creature's pleading, the person reluctantly picked it up into their shirt and carried it across the river to the other side. Once there, the venomous snake promptly whipped around and bit them on the neck and started slithering away. As the person lay suffering on the ground reaches out, "Why? Why did you betray me? After I did this act of kindness only to help you in your hour of need." And the snake replied, "You knew exactly what I was when you picked me up." It then turned and then proceeded quietly into the forest. So, gentlemen, realize, for those who go out into the world and interact romantically, let's say, with these clearly toxic women that are only interested in taking men's resources and playing games, and ultimately have the power to destroy his life with the flick of a wrist, perhaps merely for the entertainment, or to remove even the slightest tinge of guilt from a night regretted, recognize we all know exactly what's going to happen. Whether it's a week later or 10 years and 2 kids later might be a variable, but it's going to happen. We know what lies behind those soft eyes and pouty lips and the promises of love you forevers. We've all heard it 1,000 times before, and at some point we should probably stop falling for it. I suppose if some guys won't recognize it when it's all sprawled out in front of them through all these videos, that it's possible they never will. but I hope not. I would hope that at least some of my mistakes could be a lesson to others not to repeat them, and then in a subtle way, they weren't completely in vain. There was some good that came of them. Anyway, I would, as always, love to hear your thoughts. Tell me if you agree, disagree. What is the best advice you would want to give to anyone from your life experience? If you found that interesting, like, subscribe, share, and until next time, this has been Marcel.